The next time you cross the bridge on Canal Street in Turners Falls, take a moment to stop into Buckingham Rabbits Vintage. It's a newly opened vintage and second-hand clothing store, but that's just the beginning. We took the time to speak with owner Alexandra McGuigan about how it all got started.
I'm from Boston. I was born in Brighton. We moved here to Turners about 2 years ago. My husband and I and our 2 little boys. It was kind of an exodus from Boston, really. We had our second kid and the cost of living was totally nuts. It was really nuts. And I had a really high pressure job and it was all just too much. So we started looking out here. We would frequently take weekends to go to like Mass Mocha and that kind of thing. So we ended up stopping here a lot. And it had that, perfect charm, really. Turner specifically. It wasn't just charm, it was like, it seemed like real people lived here.
Turners Falls has developed a strong and growing community of artists. It's the strength and support of this community that helps artists like Alex pursue their passion and transform Turners Falls into a new creative haven.
And we just fell into this group of people who are like incredibly inspiring artists and makers and musicians, and they've supported this entire journey because we really built this out of nothing. Without their help, the community's help here, this place wouldn't be open. A group of people from around that like work at the paper and run Looky Here, like that whole group got together and bought us an ad right before our opening in the Reporter, and I was like bawling at Food City when I saw it. It was just one of the sweetest, like most supportive things. They mentioned nothing of it to me, and I don't think anyone even noticed that it said paid for by the Friends of BRV, and it was just that alone, like that was such a touching statement. So it's stuff like that.
Running a business while raising kids is almost impossible, but Alex has found a way to balance the tasks.
Basically, my situation right now is I'm a stay-at-home mom with a full-time job. Part of the plan here was to have a place where parents can bring their kids and feel comfortable, because the winters are long. It's mostly actually for like bad weather and that kind of thing. It's good to keep the kids distracted so that parents can shop, because that's like, I can never, it's just, I don't even bother anymore. But here, there's a ton of toys. They're not for sale, so there's not meltdowns. It's like all of these faceted things. And then there's like, yes, the obsessive clothing hoarding, which is something that my husband and I are both have been doing forever. It's always been our goal, like since the night we met, really, to have a store together.
The inventory of Buckingham Rabbits Vintage reflects Alex's wide range of interests and also presents another way people can shop responsibly.
I think the future of shopping is really in secondhand. I mean, it's the most sustainable, responsible way to buy clothing. Here, we cast as wide a net as possible, because we want everyone to be able to come in, wander in from like the bike path or whatever, make a note every time they drive over the bridge, oh, I gotta stop in there, oh, I should stop in there, and then when they finally stop in, be able to get something. So we have everything. So we have everything from antique, vintage, and secondhand, but they've all been kind of collected and vetted and curated. It's not just a bunch of like random things, because there's a time and space for like thrifting, which is something obviously we love to do, but there's also a time where you need to find a shirt and you want to look through a whole rack of cool shirts.
With so much competition from online stores, Alex seeks to build personal relationships with her customers, offering her years of experience and insight to help her shoppers find exactly what they're looking for.
We've had some pretty specific requests that we've been able to fulfill, which is pretty exciting for me. I love a project. I've helped local people with job interview outfits outside of store hours, and wedding outfits and that kind of thing, and finding something special and unique is kind of easy here. So this is the kid zone. There's toys for everyone, and through the generosity of friends too, we have my dream doll house. So I spend a good amount of time playing in here every now and then. My kids have spent a lot of time playing in here. There's books, we've got baby toys, we have mats that we put down for play dates and that kind of thing. This fishing toy is the #1 hit. Everyone loves to sit here and fish. Such a simple thing. So fun. You can write on the walls, no one's gonna yell at you, and nothing's for sale, so there's no meltdowns.
The rest of the store is kind of a toy box in itself for the funky and fashionable. You never know what you'll find around the corner, and almost everything you find has a story.
These are platforms from the 30s, 40s, and I'm trying to restore them because they're totally wearable, and it's a process, but it's happening. I'm a little bit in love with them. I might keep them. I think I have one of these. The most popular categories, the 3 biggest sellers, I would say, in our first couple of months have been overalls, coveralls, and 501s. So the overalls and coveralls are right here. Workwear in general. We only have like 2XL and above right now. We're working on fleshing out the rest of the sizes again, because these tend to be kind of more specific. But we've got flight suits like this, and then coveralls, which are like these. And there's slight differences. The flight suits tend to be lighter weight, and they have weird pockets, to be honest. And then the coveralls have really decent pockets, but they tend to be a little bit heavier weight. And then the overalls, like classic Dickies overalls and that kind of thing, but also more fashion overalls. Got the skinny ones too. But honestly, it's like work clothing in general. It is on trend, but it's also for its utility. These are the hot sellers right now. But ours are only like $20, so we don't price gouge for the 501s. I think at Urban Outfitters, they're reselling them for like $100 or more.
The way a person dresses can say a lot about their personality, and exploring vintage clothing offers a unique glimpse into the past.
This velvet jacket is kind of how I picture the 60s in general. I think it's just incredible. And when we got it, it was in one of the lots that we got right after we opened. And I was like crying with excitement. I was so excited about it. And then in the second lot that we just got, we got another one. I'd never really seen this kind of thing in person, in perfect shape, paisley, velvet, perfect size. It was insane. But now we have just the one left. But everyone loves to try it on. It is a little warm out for velvet, but this will soon find its home, I'm sure. These trousers are from 1915. And they just, even the pants tell a story. The inside kind of shows you just how much work goes into making one pair of pants. The buttons give you information. The lining gives you information. The tag shows the gentleman who had the pants tailored for them, where they were made. And then there's actually a very, very faint stamp here. You can really see it, but it says 1915, the date. When you go further back into like menswear and that kind of thing, there were so many more pieces to everything. So like, even something as specific as like this is like an outerwear dickie, so you'd wear it underneath your formal coat, and it's like a cold weather accessory. This tux has an NRA label, the National Recovery Administration. It only existed between 1933 and 1935, so it not only helps you date the garment itself, it's also just such a specific thing that most people have not heard about. So this was an agency that tried to set minimum prices, help workers out by setting minimum wages and maximum amount of hours they could work in a week. And it only existed for a couple of years, unfortunately, but I think it ended up moving into other agencies. But that specific label has become a collector's item. So, men's bathing suits from 1940 to the 80s. We've done a lot of the 40s swimwear for women's bottoms now.
You can learn a lot from the clothes people wore, sometimes even more than you wanted to know.
Who wouldn't want to swim in heavy wool? This is like 40s, 50s. It is a men's swimsuit, technically. It has a functioning pocket because it's men's clothing, and men's clothing always has pockets. But it gets even crazier if we move backward in time a little bit. So these are 40s, men's. It's a look. But this is absolutely something that a man I found ads with these illustrations of like a guy fishing. And it was just a different idea of what was masculine, which isn't really generally applicable today. So, but we've been doing these for bikini bottoms, and they're great because they've got great stretch to them. They're comfortable, except for the wool ones. Those are merely a conversation piece. We've got that classic 60s Beach Boys kind of like, got your Speedo. And like the Jansen girl, this is something I always like to point out. The Jansen diver here, she changes her swimming costume with time. So here, this helps me to know what time frame this is from, like 40s, 50s. These are 50s, but I think she was wearing that from the 40s to the 50s. And then she changed it again to a more sporty racerback, like racing suit a little bit later on. Cool. And she was wearing a full coverage swimsuit earlier, so. This is the most perfect print in the whole world. It is Hawaiian, made in Hawaii. The most like archetypical 60s print to me. And it's the most gorgeous colors. And it's still here. And it just has not found the right body yet. It has to be like, it's more narrow than it looks. So it just has to find the right home. I have like an obsession with this dress in particular. But I'm hoping it happens soon. This piece is from 1915, and it's like a ceremonial hat from the Knights of Pythias, and they're headquartered in Stoughton, so I'm gonna send them photos and see if they want it for their archives. It's really beautiful though. It's silk velvet, and it has all these like incredible details. Come on in, let me show you around.
Stop in soon and welcome Buckingham Rabbits Vintage to the community. You can also check out their website, buckinghamrabbits.com, or their accounts on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching.